So I want to start today by telling you a story and then telling you how innovative city government is working to improve outcomes for residents. And then I'm going to invite you to engage with us on doing that because this is your city. So I'll start out with a story. This is Sandra. She's a mother of two, a single mom of two. And just the other day, just like I did this morning, she was driving her kids to school, and she happened to be going through a school zone and was pulled over by one of our fine Tulsa police officers and ticketed. The ticket was $250. And it turns out that Sandra is actually in nursing school, and she has tuition to pay. It's that time of year in schools. And so she went to our municipal judge, not Judge Judy, but we love Judge Judy, though. But she went to the municipal judge, and she said, I really can't pay this right now. Can you give me 6 months to pay? And so the judge agreed, and so she was given a slip of paper that looked something like this. And so she walked out of the courtroom that day, just like the 22,000 people that walk out with a similar slip of paper that are in a similar situation in municipal court. So those are misdemeanors. And when she left that day, she had those 6 months to pay that fine. Well, as it turns out, 7 out of 10 people that get this slip of paper out of the 22,000 or 16,000 people a year don't end up paying the fine. And what that results in is a bench warrant from municipal court. I'm going to switch gears there and talk a little bit about what our office does. Our Office of Performance Strategy and Innovation, our mission is to empower the city to use data to drive decisions and lower barriers to innovation. We do that with 3 pillars of work. The first is strategy. So this year we've worked on a strategic plan asking the questions, what should we be doing as a city and how can we measure it? The data and transparency, how can we be transparent to the public? And then results. How do we know that we're achieving what we set out to achieve? The AIM plan, or the Action and Implementation Management Plan, is set to be adopted by the City Council next week. And we have laid out specific actions for each of our departments in City Hall to achieve goals that ultimately impact the entire community. We've created data dashboards you can visit at this link. And we've created 2 types. These quantitative dashboards that really give you insight to, for example, here the Animal Welfare Department, and qualitative dashboards that give you insight to how we're implementing community policing, so you can track with what we're doing. We have a program called Urban Data Pioneers, where we engage people from the community and our city employees together to look into data problems like how does blight relate to violent crime, and how can we be solving the issues of violent crime in the city by understanding more fully blight issues. We're partnering with one of the world's best polling firms this year to institute a new index called the Gallup Tulsa City Voice Index. We hope this will become a way for cities to measure the level of thriving of their residents across the nation, and we'll be doing that this year. Every 2 weeks, the mayor sits down and works through a program we call Tulstat, where our departments come in and we help them solve problems with kind of data as the center point. So this is an example of one where we were looking at reducing the rates for recycling contamination. We have a program called Innovation Champions, where we've trained over 200 people in the processes of Lean Six Sigma process improvement, and we've enabled them to go out and solve problems throughout the city, and through that we've been able to reduce the time it takes to resolve nuisance abatement issues by nearly half. And finally, we've implemented human-centered design thinking. That is, how do we design our services so that they're oriented toward the customer and they're focused on the customer? So with that in mind, let's come back to Sandra, since we're talking about designing around her. So she got that slip of paper, but she's got 2 kids, and I've got 3, and that's a lot going on. And so that slip of paper quickly got lost, and she forgot about paying that fine, unless we intervened. And so we're working right now to develop a system where instead of that just a slip of paper, Sandra gets a text message. And we're not just implementing it, we're actually going to test to find what works. So we have 2 different text messages and a control group, and over time, we're going to test to see what works better. And in 6 months, we'll probably have a chart that looks a little bit like this. And we'll be able to understand what's working and what's not, and we'll be able to scale up what works. And if it doesn't work, we'll iterate, and we'll find something that does work. And through that, we're going to turn what would have been Sandra's bad news into good news. Now here's where I want you to engage. There's a link at the bottom of this page, and you can also visit our table outside. We want you to be part of something we're calling the Civic Innovation Fellowship. We're going to engage 6 citizens over the next 6 months to engage with us to try to use your expertise to solving critical civic issues that we have at the city. So I'd invite you to go to that link, and we'll be in touch with you with more information. Thank you.